Okay, I think we are live. We are live, everybody. Welcome to the live stream. I see one person in the live chat, which is Valix. Valix is a moderator, not much of a moderator. Gulp, gulp. We were just chatting before. I don't know how young he is or she. Could be a she. Most likely he. Most likely a male, young male. He would fit perfectly in the crypto world. He tries to scam everybody online. Yeah, a little bit of a troll, a little bit, not a lot. Anyways, welcome back. I'm gonna do my weekly chart analysis here, in which you will hear out my prediction. So far, it's. I'm not saying I can forecast perfect 100%, but I've seen how the game is played in the crypto world, and I've seen enough signals and experienced enough things, and definitely been around long enough to know some idea what's going on. And I have to admit, it's been very fun watching things unfold. So, and if you happen to have any Bitcoin, because I only accept Bitcoin here, here is a huge QR code. If you feel like donating, it is a Beck32 Addy address here. If you feel very generous enough to donate, feel free to donate. If you're new and you want to test out your new wallet, go ahead and give that a scan. Test out your new wallet. Send some satoshis, any amount, doesn't matter. The address is public, so if you wanted to see the amount of donations that come in, you're more than welcome to watch it grow, and you can watch the value of it go up and down as I make my weekly Bitcoin chart analysis here. So this week we're going to talk about the phrase "to the moon." If you ever heard of "to the moon," you don't know what "to the moon" is. It's usually a phrase that's talked a lot. You'll hear it, "to the moon." You'll see videos "to the moon." As you know, my thumbnail is basically "to the moon." Of course, "to the moon." You're going to hear that a lot. "To the moon." You go into forums, Reddit, Discord, whatever. "To the moon," "to the moon." Usually usually it's said a lot during the bull market, or at least the beginning of the bull market. That's another signal that I usually look out for. The phrase "to the moon." How often is that? Like, how often is that being thrown around? That phrase, "to the moon." It's said a lot. So when you hear that, it's one of the indicators that I use to understand the the herd mentality, and you'll start seeing wave after wave, the price action go up. The more the price goes up, the more you're gonna hear that to the moon, just repeated everywhere. So that's what you hear. Anyways, let me remove my QR code here, and let's get into the chart analysis here. So, all right, I'm looking here at the chart. Let's get rid of these lines. Let me see here. Let's delete these lines here. And let's just take an overall look at the market. This is all the way back to 2017, when Bitcoin was, what was the price of Bitcoin in this area right here? When it was about 1,900 to 1,000. It was even cheaper. I can go back even further when it was just $100. $100. One Bitcoin can buy you $100, or $100 could buy you one full Bitcoin, which is now worth $24,000. Anyway, so let's just draw some lines. I'll show you where I get these lines. Just draw a line from here and here. Let's see, here or here. Looks like it doesn't make much of a difference where I draw it, but let's just draw it here. That's the original trend line right here. And you can see we've, in this area right here, we've broken through the trend line. It's going sideways for a very long time, since 2022, October 2022, around there, since last year, and starting to go up. So that's the original trend line. Now let me just move this over just a little bit. And what you're seeing now is the 10 period average, crossing over the 10 period average, which is the white line. Actually, it has crossed over, technically it has crossed over the 30 period average. Usually they call it the golden cross or the cross of death. If it's going, if the market is going down, the price is going down, it's a death cross. If the prices are starting to go up, they'll call it the golden cross. Silly little terms, you know. Let me see. In my last video, I made a trend line doing this. Well, obviously that was wrong, right? That was wrong. I'm going to put out the fans. Let's put out the Fibonacci fans. Okay, now that I put the Fibonacci fans out here, you're starting to see that it's starting to take shape, and it's starting to come across this Fibonacci fan line. That's probably going to, I think this Fibonacci fan line makes sense right now. It will eventually change, because you won't be able to read the chart as easily with the fib lines, because once the bull market start hitting, these no longer become resistance anymore. So right now we're making transition from a downward trend, sideways trend, since, let me see, since July of 2022, a sideways trend up to January of 2023. So from July to July of 2022, somewhere around there, to January of 2023, it's been sideways. So this is actually the sideways that we've been looking for. This was almost a, this was interesting. I never seen it make a high, an all-time high, go down just to make another all-time high in this time frame like this. But all-time high was 2021, November 2021, all the way to July. It really started from right here, if you ask me, from 2021 to April 2021, all the way to July of 2022. So almost a very long time, almost a year of this whole pattern going by, and then the sideways. So this Fibonacci fan, it makes sense. It's going to make sense. I think a lot of people are going to follow this Fibonacci fan. And again, don't make predictions off of the last 3 candlesticks, but it looks like the confirmation of the bottom, which is this line right here at 15,487. I think that's confirmed. That's pretty much confirmed. That would be the bottom right here. What date was that? That was November 2022. So that's probably the bottom. Most likely that's the bottom signal. That's most likely the bottom signal. Is that the bottom? Is that the loss? Is that the lowest price? I don't know. I have a feeling that it's going to. My personal feelings is that there will be probably another low. Hello, yellow. Hello, yellow. Yes, you did make it in time. Good to see you, yellow. So there is that bottom. So this kind of give you some time frames here. Just, I still believe November 2023, November time frame. Right around here, this time frame, right around here is where we're gonna see a really peak. Anyways, so what you're seeing now is these are just possible resistance, because making that transition from going down, making that transition from a downward trend, sideways trend, and then back to an upward trend, back to a bull market, it does take time, and there is a lag. There is a lag in time. There's usually a lag in time, and so what you're seeing now is you're seeing the sellers start to, I wouldn't say they're taking a beating, but obviously there's more, the the demand is definitely higher. So demand is now outpacing supply. If you see my last live stream about Bitcoin, I said that the demand is outpacing supply. So if the demand's outpacing supply, if the demand is outpacing supply, that usually means that that usually will mean that usually means that the the people who are selling eventually have to get their bitcoins from the exchanges because the miners can't supply them, or people are not selling in the peer-to-peer market. If you can't get your bitcoins in the peer-to-peer market, and it's kind of interesting because when you buy in a peer-to-peer market, it takes time for that demand to hit the exchanges. And then once that demand hits the exchanges, that's when you're going to see the price go up. And so when the price is going sideways, you're seeing an influx of oversupply in the peer-to-peer market, lower demand. Eventually, the demand has caught up. The demand for Bitcoin has caught up and has now exceeded the supply in the street market, all right, in the peer-to-peer market. That demand has now shifted over into the exchanges, and that's why you're seeing the price go up. So that's what's happening, and you will see successive waves of this. This is probably the first wave of the first Fibonacci fan, and the next wave will come, and it'll typically will be a higher price. So what you're seeing now is this price right here is almost at this level. So I'm going to draw another line, just a flat line. So, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit more. There we go. Let's zoom in a little bit more. So you're looking at the low and this area right here, and you can see they almost hit up here. So it's acting as a resistance along with this Fibonacci fan in this area. It looks good. It looks like it's going to break, but again, I think there's several resistance. First, this line here, which represents this high, the lower high that it has to break. Also this Fibonacci fan line. There could be some resistance here, but it could break. It could easily break. So that's what you're looking at. So you're looking at things that are going to make a higher high. So the next higher high is going to be this price line here. Let me get rid of some of this fans here. Let's delete everything and let's make a line. So you're looking at this as a higher high. I'm not sure if you can count this as a higher high, but definitely this is a higher high right here, this line, and of course the all-time high. So those are the three lines you're looking at. What needs to be major break. Also, you could also use these lower lines here, the lower lows, as resistance and support areas. And so this is what you're looking at. And if you do that, you get some kind of weird lines like this. These are resistance lines or support lines. Depends where the price is. If the price is below some of these lines, they become resistance. Once they go above these lines, they become support, etc., etc. So that's how it usually works. Now, interesting thing about this is I'm going to put Fibonacci lines here, and let's see if it makes any sense. Let's see if any of this stuff makes any sense. Actually, some of it lines up pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and just put it right here. Some of the lines actually make kind of sense. If you look here, that 61% right here matches up with this line that I made. A little bit off on this bottom line, but there's a 38% Fibonacci line and the 23%. They don't always line up, but they're pretty close. I'm going to go ahead and delete my lines and just go ahead and put some Fibonacci lines here. Let's see if this makes any sense. And then I'm going to put my Fibonacci fans. Let's see if that makes any sense to what's going on here. All right, Fibonacci lines and Fibonacci fans. Yeah, you get a lot of weird lines and things. You can get lost. They don't quite work out. It's not congruent. I wouldn't use them. Right now, the fans make more sense right now. Fans make more sense. But the interesting things about this is that it's always 2020. It's always hindsight 2020. It's always hard to predict this. So I do think there is going to be a drop in the price coming up. I think it's the wave, this first wave has run its course. I do think it's run its course. And let me put my QR code back up here for all of you to donate. You can definitely watch. We can definitely watch it together if you're tired of the crypto space and you want to get out. So my final thoughts on this is that the first wave, there is a first wave. The first wave has happened. There will be successive waves. The first wave is occurring. I think the first wave usually doesn't last that. I don't think it's going to spike up. The first wave usually doesn't like all of a sudden spike up and give you a clear signal. The first wave is usually a very small wave. And if you look at the grand scheme of the chart, the first wave here and the right here in the bottom right corner here is very small, usually is. And it usually fizzles out a little bit. It's probably going to fizzle out really soon, especially right where the two lines cross, because it's such an obvious signal That's usually a time when people who see that usually want to dump on the greater fools. And once the greater fools come in and they buy, and the price will go down. People dump on the greater fools. So if you're wondering why the price goes down, is usually what happens is, all right, so there's demand in the market, peer-to-peer market, out. So the demand is outpacing the supply. The people who are selling in the market run out of Bitcoin to sell. All right. So they have to go back to their supply, or their supplier, a miner, or someone who can get Bitcoins. If the miners aren't willing to sell, or if it's drying up because we're the halvening is coming up by next year. Is it this year? No, it's next year. Um, they may not be willing to sell. They may be willing to hold on to the prices, or there's just higher demand. That usually means eventually somebody has to go out. There's going to be people going out to the exchanges, buying from the exchanges. That dries up the supply in the exchanges, causing the price to go up. So the demand on the exchanges are increasing, the supply on the exchanges are decreasing. So the price has to go up to attract people to give their Bitcoin, or to sell their Bitcoin, or miners to start selling back out into either the exchanges or the peer-to-peer market. Usually when the price starts going up, people start dumping because the price has been depressed so much. Any uptick in the price is a financial, technically a financial relief to some of these people to get their money back, or to get their money out at break even. Or the irony is they're trying to break even at a time when the price of Bitcoin is going to be surging. In my opinion, it's going to be surging, but they've been hodling during the downturn. They've been hodling during uh, the bear market so long. They're looking to cash out, which is the irony, is they're about to miss the bull market. And so that's kind of what's happening. And so once the price gets up to a certain point and it looks like some kind of resistance level, they're going to be dumping. Um, People get overzealous when they buy Bitcoin, and then whatever they can't sell to the open market, or resell, or sell to the greater fool, they go back to the exchanges and they dump. They basically start selling their supply to preserve their quote unquote profits. So if they buy a certain amount and they sell, and they can't sell all their supply of Bitcoins, they go to the exchanges, dump it, preserve, supposedly preserve their margin, quote unquote margin, their profit margin. And then when the demand comes back again, they will buy it up again. They will start buying Bitcoin out to the open market again. And that's usually what's happening. So as long as there's more demand and less supply, the price will continue. The prices will go up and down, but the trend seems to be turning. I think there's the beginning confirmation of the trend starting to turn from a bear market to a sideways market, now into a starting of a bull market. It's really hard to see. Again, hindsight 2020. It's all hindsight 2020, and it's going to be really tough to determine whether you're actually in a bull market. You won't know until it's too late to be in the bull market. So that's the problem with trading. You got to take a risk. You have to take a gamble. But I think it's a good gamble right now. You got the signal, the bottom signal. You have the golden cross, and looks like the first wave, which are basically the beginning signals of a bull market. And plus the timing, the halvening, it is a perfect time to get into Bitcoin, um, in my opinion. The signals are there, everything looks good, and eventually, like I said, to the moon. You're gonna hear that a lot. To the moon, to the moon. Reddit forums, crypto YouTubers. They're gonna come out of the woodworks. To the moon, to the moon. Uh, just keep your ears open for that, and you'll hear it a lot. To the moon, to the moon, to the moon. Crypto, like the altcoiners are gonna come out of the woodworks. To the moon, to the moon. It's gonna get crazy. It's gonna get you're just gonna hear it a lot, and you're gonna see these memes come out, rocket ships. I mean, that's but if by then you're probably halfway into the bull market before it tops out. Halfway. You're probably most likely halfway. Um, when people start talking about quitting their day jobs, they're crypto billionaires. They claim to be crypto billionaires. When they think it's going to go to $1 billion, it's never going to stop. You're pretty much at the top. You're pretty much at the top. But to the moon, I would say you're halfway. You're halfway into the bull market. That's my opinion. Anyways, I'm going to end this live stream. Thank you for everybody who joined the live chat. My gold members, or my silver members. If you're a member, I set my members to, I set the live chat to members only. And so they're the only ones to chat. I appreciate everybody stopping by. I will catch you all later in the next week in the next live stream. Hopefully you'll have a chance to join. Until next time, everybody, bye bye. And don't forget to like, share, comment. I'll see you all later.